A huge day tomorrow for former President Trump and his legal team. A federal judge in Florida set to rule on unsealing many of the documents that led to the raid at Mar-a-Lago. President Trump demanding they release everything. I concur. Unredacted, do it. The Justice Department claims that would damage their investigation. So what can we expect from the federal magistrates? The party panel is back. Carol Markowitz, Juan Williams, and Spike Cohen. Carol, do the American people deserve to see why a former president's private home was raided?
Absolutely. This is crazy. It's crazy that we don't know yet, and it's crazy that the only explanation we have is that the National Archives wanted some of his papers. That's insane. He was the president. It wasn't like Billy Bob making meth in his garage. This was like a really, important raid that we should have known way more about by now. I think it's insane that everything is still hidden and secret from the American people. I think we deserve to know what happened here. And, with Donald Trump, everything becomes like, do you love Donald Trump? Do you hate Donald Trump? And I think that that's really not the point here. I think the American people deserve to know why a former president's home was raided. And it's true that people who hate Donald Trump are like supportive of the raid, but it's not true that you have to love Donald Trump in order to think this raid was Merrick Garland getting revenge. I think that a lot of people believe that and see that, and we need to see those papers to see that that's maybe not the case.
Yeah, and they haven't been given reason to believe otherwise, Carol. And that's very problematic because, if this were a president that someone who's cheering that they supported and the FBI launched a similar raid, they would be very upset. And we can't have an unequal application of laws and practices, and we can't have this disproportionate outrage. So, Juan, do you want to see the former president in jail? Would that be the ultimate outcome?
Wow, you guys are really, really going off tonight. Listen.
No, I'm curious.
Let's just come back to center for a second. The man who runs the FBI is a Trump appointee.
Oh, we know that.
You have people
he was Chris
now
Christie's
vilifying
lawyer.
the
Absolutely.
FBI.
I've been vilifying them for years.
Let me tell you something that's a big joke. Something that, Kennedy, you want to laugh? All these people who say the FBI is full of radical left-wingers. That's craziness. That's nuts. Okay, second thing, Merrick Garland. Merrick Garland was nominated by Barack Obama because he was a center-right judge. That's why you didn't get a black person nominated for the Supreme Court under a black president. And now, here's the big point
no one
I
ever
want
gets
you guys to all pay attention to. Why was Donald Trump holding on to classified top-secret documents all this time after he's left the White House? Even after he'd been subpoenaed, even after he said he had given it over, even after his lawyers signaled, yes, we've given you everything. In fact, he hadn't given everything.
I will grant you all of that.
Something is stinky here.
I will grant you all of that. He shouldn't have had that stuff, and he should have given it back. Do you want to see him in jail because of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't know, because I don't know that a grand jury will indict. And I believe that he should go through the process. So when you guys say, hey, show us the affidavit, show us the search, show us everything.
I want to see everything.
It's going to put a lot of witnesses, a lot of people in danger, as we've seen the threat of violence.
Maybe they said the same thing about Julian Assange and Edward Snowden, and they never produced any proof that people were compromised and put in harm's way.
And they're not in jail. They're not in jail.
they're in jails in their own right. So, Spike, I think that Juan brings up a good point, and we shouldn't, or maybe Carol brought this up, we shouldn't just focus on the former president. We should focus on law enforcement and the power of law enforcement at this point in our history. So you don't have to like the former president. You can despise him and still despise all that's gone on with this raid. Where do you stand?
Yeah, whether this raid is justified or not doesn't change the fact that the FBI isn't even supposed to exist in the first place. Congress put a prohibition on the creation of a federal police force back in 1908. President Roosevelt, Theodore Roosevelt, had his attorney general illegally move funds from the Justice Department to illegally create a department of what later became the Federal Bureau of Investigation. And for the past several decades, we have seen them continue with that tradition of crime, witness intimidation, framing people, drugging people, and even murdering people. The framing and drugging and murdering of Fred Hampton, the framing of people like Ross Ulbricht and Leonard Peltier, who to this day rot in federal prisons for crimes they did not commit. The framing of in the public image of people like Malcom X and Muhammad Ali and Martin Luther King Jr. The raids, that involvement in Waco and in Ruby Ridge, where they just straight up murdered entire families. The FBI should have been abolished years ago. It never was supposed to exist in the first place. Whatever happens with this Trump indictment doesn't change the fact that we should not have federales. This is supposed to be a constitutional republic, not the Soviet Union, and that's exactly what the FBI tries to create with their actions.
Well done. Spike Cohen. I'm sorry, but you get the win there. Very good.